Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So in this video, I'm going to have a quick look at the Alameda investments spreadsheet. So this has been something that has come out of the bankruptcy proceedings from Alameda and FTX. Obviously, not quite sure how these two entities and their various other sub-entities are sort of related. But when you go through bankruptcy, then obviously people look through all the sort of assets you have and look to see if they can sort of sell some of them off to recover some of the money that needs to go to the creditors. So this has been put together. Well, not been put together by the FT, but someone's put this together, and the FT has sort of pointed to it. So it's just a Google spreadsheet, open spreadsheet. I can put a link into in the video below. So this is the FT linked to one view only. You can see a whole bunch of people, over 35 people looking at this. Obviously, pretty interesting to see what's going on, and it is interesting to see sort of what sort of companies these guys were investing in. So obviously, what you can do here is just do a copy of it. So I've just copied it. I've just copied that list into my own spreadsheet, and now I can sort of mess around with the data. So we can see here the total investment amount was $5.3 billion. So $5.3 billion invested. And if we look at this in terms of what was the biggest investment, so we have over $500 million in Genesis Digital Assets in January 2022. So basically, what you have is the project, the investment type, the category, the valuation, the post investment valuation, investment amount, region, investment entities. There's all these different sort of company names. Goodman Investment, McLaren Investments, all part of Alameda Ventures Research or Alameda Research Investments Limited. All these stuff going on, and sort of the structure here. This is sort of how the investment happened. There's different ways of doing this: a safe or a convertible note and things like that. I mean, not all this is filled in properly. But what's interesting, if we can just look, I guess, briefly at sort of the biggest investments. I'm going to look at gaming, obviously, but there's a whole bunch of these things. I mean, I don't know half of these sort of companies, but we also have Genesis Digital Assets, a whole bunch of money going in here, sort of $1 billion going into Genesis Digital Assets. In terms of equity, they categorized as mining. I'm not sure that's right, is it? Mining? I don't know. Anyway, so we can see here some big sort of chunks of change going into some companies here. K5 is an investment fund. It says there, what's Dave Inc? Digital banking. That's a big. Is that digital? Oh yes. Is that Anyway, I don't know. Keep my mouth shut. So there's a whole bunch going into Sequoia. So Sequoia is a investment fund. So $100 million into Sequoia funds. Genesis getting some more. Miston Labs. So that's a big blockchain. So almost $100 million into Miston Labs. That's sort of pretty interesting. They did a $300 million raise, and a third of that was FTX. I mean, quite what happens to that anymore. Voyager, well known as a sort of a digital asset sort of banking service. You got $150 million into that. So there we go. So there's a Near. So Near is a layer one blockchain. $50 million into their $50 million into Polygon, $50 million into Yuga Labs, the apes people. Skybridge Capital Fund, $45 million into that. What else we got? I don't know what some of these are. Voyager again. Okay. So some of these I've gone through, fairly detailed. Probably some things I need to double check, but I've gone through and I've sort of tried to find the games, because obviously that's sort of what I care about. And I've clicked the wrong thing there. Let's have a go here. Okay. So if we go through categories, not everything was categorized sort of properly, so I've just sort of gone through and actually haven't. I need to put all these out, colour them all in the right colour. So here we go. So we have a whole bunch of games actually. So we have, what's that, 92 to 137. So that's 100 that's 45. Looks like 45 investments out of the. It's about, how many are there? So 500 maybe. So 10% ish are looking like their games. And we can have a quick look through and see what's going on here. So I don't know who Pace are. Pixel Link is the Dead Mouse and Plastic Man's metaverse, just been acquired, or majority acquired by get this right, by Animoca Brands. So we can see here they invested $500,000. That's actually not that much. $500,000 on a $25 million valuation. into, it doesn't say what it is, but we could sort of double check when Pixel Links raised their first money. And actually, you know, I just noticed generally that Alameda was pretty active in investment. It never often didn't seem to lead, so I never thought it was putting big money into these rounds, but it was sort of quite active in terms of putting, you know, obviously did 45 deals. So some other big ones here. So Star Atlas, so obviously really well known on the Polygon, on the Solana blockchain, and has lost half of its money in FTX. So they only put in less than $750,000. Actually, not very much. At a 333. I mean, it's ridiculous meme stuff. But that was the valuation. $33 million was the valuation on Star Atlas when that equity. So that means they were buying shares in ATMAT Inc., which is Star Atlas. Some other sort of weird one. I don't know who Tailverse are. I could sort of look at these things up, but you know, $3 million, 3.3 million to that. This is quite an interesting one. Just Won't Die Limited. So this is a games company based in the UK, in the south coast. Not quite sure what they're doing. I'm not quite sure if they are still with us. So have a look at the website. It's very sort of odd. They don't seem to be a blockchain games company. They sort of announced, but that's $7.5 million into that company. That's a lot of money at a 50 million valuation. That's pretty chunky for a company that you know, it's got a website, but it's not very clear what they were doing or if they're still going. So you know, I'm not going to particularly look into that, but I imagine people are looking into that. You know, Just Won't Die has probably died. Were they? I don't know. Was this a scam? Was this sort of you know, money laundering? Who knows? I'm not saying it is. Just kind of odd. So Immutable X token pro rata. So Immutable X is obviously the layer 2 gaming blockchain. So actually not very much in there. So they did again one of these meme valuations, $51.5 million valuation at the time. So that was quite early in Immutable because they've raised a much higher valuation since then. But you know, $200,000 into that. Eden Brawl, a sort of a MOBA type game. Very high valuation here, $100 million valuation. This was the height of the bull market. They just put in $250,000, not very much actually. Thirdverse are a Japanese VR Web3 company. This is a very high valuation. The other thing is, not quite sure whether whether I believe all these. maybe not. Maybe I don't know. I have to double check again. But anyway, so they put in less than $500,000 into there. Come to us, their C2X tokens. They put in $5 million into that at a 500 million valuation. Again, 500 million valuation, crazy. And also $2 million into Sky Mavis at a 2.5 billion. So those are sort of interesting in terms of these sort of valuation things. What else we got? Triple Dot. That was interesting. They're just a mobile, or they got bought by Take-Two, assuming it's the same. No, it's not. It's not those guys. That's Dot. So Triple Dot is just a free-to-play mobile games company out of London, doing some sort of casual games. I sort of know of them. I know them a little bit. Don't know they're doing Web3, but $50 million into that. Can that be right? I'm really not sure. I mean, they have raised a lot of money, but $50 million. And why would FTX Ventures be putting $50 million into a mobile games company? Super odd. I say we don't know these things are true, but we assume if the you know, if this is going through liquidation or bankruptcy. Scopely, so a well-known mobile games company. $4 million into Scopely. Mythical Games, people behind Blankos and the new blockchain, the Mythical blockchain, $4 million. So these are sort of, you know, these are still fairly large amounts. What else we got? I don't know who the GGX people are. Sober Studios. They're doing a again sort of blockchain, but sort of not blockchain. Doing some sort of coding, doing some game creation tools. Sorry, that's the wrong one line there. So $3 million into those. Xtero, sort of Web2, Web3 games publisher, just announced $2 million into those. Elysium, blockchain game. Aurora. I mean, these are now getting to sort of quite small amounts. So these are a lot of Solana games. So Aurora was, you know, raised actually tons of money back in the height of Solana, at least in Solana. Magic Eden, the marketplace. I mean, but this is quite a small amount. Actually, quite surprising. Only $500,000. Monkey Ball, another game on Solana. Guild of Guardians, game on Immutable X. That's pretty small now. We're getting down to sort of pretty small amounts. So it's sort of interesting that there's some quite random large amounts going into people like Triple Dot or these Won't Die, Just Won't Die studios. Very large amounts from a venture perspective. But some of the sort of the more high profile sort of games actually getting very small amounts. As per Chain, Decimated. So what else we got? Sidious, Senate. Senate is actually if we get it right, the token for Sidious. I don't know, it's a token anyway. DeFi Land, Decimated again, Brawl Stars again. 1,200 token warrant. So we have some guilds. So we have Gilfi, Perion, Blockchain Space. They're all guilds. Ancient 8 a guild. I mean, this one, Gamer gains $500. Why would you even bother? I suppose it's a follow-up, I guess. Token warrant, is it? Follow-up to this million. Step N, sorry. Geopet, again, big Solana-based game. Hawku is a NFT marketplace. So, I don't know if there's any sort of particular conclusion to draw from this, apart from the fact that they've spent over $5 billion of investing, some of it into some pretty random companies. Even on the game side, some of them are pretty solid companies. Magic Eden, Mythical, come to us. Sky Mavis, obviously, Scopely. They're pretty solid companies. Immutable. Some of these are, I have my own particular views on some of these games, I suppose, and whether you would be sensible. But Alameda wasn't putting actually very large amounts into these sort of into these games. It was sort of getting tokens as well, so potentially they could sell those off on FTX. So they were sort of doing, potentially these were quite clever deals to leverage off. I don't know whether they still have their tokens or whether they sort of sold them all off. I assume probably if they're listed on here, they probably didn't sell them off. But in general, you would say this is just, for the couple of years in which FTX Alameda was operating, there is not A16Z aren't doing this amount of investment. So there's just no way they were doing very sensible investments. And obviously at the top end they were doing ridiculously large amounts of investments. When you're doing $500 million into a project, that's do you own the bank or did the bank own you? So anyway, interesting. I'll put the link in if you want to go, and you can probably do your own research and see what was going on. Whether any of these investments, I mean, so you think some of these investments probably would have some value still in them. I think a lot of them probably wouldn't. The other sort of knock-on effect, I guess, is does FTX and Alameda going bust sort of, does it impact any of these companies in the sense that do they have sort of do they have their sort of tokens locked up in the exchange, so they can't access them because that was part of the investment deal? It looks like that was the case for some companies, at least. But in general, just another sort of peek behind the curtain of what on earth was going on at Alameda Research. Pretty crazy stuff. Okay, thanks for watching. See you again soon.